Gentlelady yields back. Chair now recognizes Gentlelady from Maryland, Ms. Elfreth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And in general, I too echo my deep condolences for the lives lost and service members and their families, and echo my colleagues in congratulations and thanks. As the daughter of an entryman, he only retired as an FSC, but I greatly appreciate your 38 years of commitment to this nation's security. It doesn't go unnoticed from this committee, so thank you very much.
Not to correct you, ma'am, but there's no such thing as only an SFC.
I think my MLA might agree with you. So I want to dig in, General. You mentioned the contributions of our allies in your command in EU comm, such as Poland, as to the security of Europe and the subsequent security of this nation. You also mentioned Denmark as recently increasing its financial contributions here, but also critically expanding its patrol of the Arctic. Can you please just briefly expand on the importance of that particular allyship with Denmark?
Sure. Yeah, Denmark, ma'am, is one of our strongest allies. The bilateral relationship, from the Danish perspective, is far and away their most important bilateral security relationship. I've known the Prime Minister of Denmark for quite a while, and she would initiate any conversation with that comment. They have been very reliable allies. They've got a high-tech military, not a big one, but it's high-tech. They have extremely competent special forces and naval special forces, and they contribute those liberally to the operations under my command as the Supreme Allied Commander. So, yeah, very strong ally. We love all our allies, but I would say that Denmark's a very strong one.
You don't have favorites, but I appreciate that. Ms. Thompson, reflecting on that, wouldn't you agree that the president's threats to possibly utilize military force to seize Greenland, a territory of Denmark, could only threaten that key allyship and, again, our shared ability to address the threats, particularly from Russia in the Arctic?
Thank you, Congresswoman. What I would say is I would focus on the bilateral relationship piece that General Cavoli hit on. I think that there's a lot of cooperation here, including on Greenland, in particular on the landmass. Particularly, we already have space capabilities there, and I think that there's opportunities. And the Secretary and his pull aside with the Danish Minister of Defense had a really positive conversation about where we could take the bilateral defense relationship. So I think there's room for growth and positivity there.
Okay, General, you've shared that Russia poses a chronic and growing threat, and that they are focused on a, quote, campaign of destabilization across your command. You also spoke about the intersection of how you work with the other combatant commands, particularly around the Mediterranean. I want to switch our conversation to yet another domain, that being of cyber. And can you help us better understand the cyber wars that Russia is waging against Ukraine, our allies in NATO, your command in Europe? And can you speak to your collaboration with Cyber Command, which is headquartered just a stone's throw from my district?
Yes, ma'am. I think the simplest way to get at this question is to describe roughly the two buckets into which we can consider Russian cyber operations to fall, right? Some of them are about the content. It's information operations, it's influence operations, it's the campaigns to spread their version of information around Europe and the world. Those are very, very active. Those don't necessarily involve cyber work, but can be injected through cyber vectors. But it can be as simple as a television channel. On the other hand, there's also the technical cyber work that they do, which is designed to penetrate our networks, to get into systems, to produce effects. Sometimes it's to take information, and sometimes it's to leave us problems. And they do a lot. I depend very, very heavily on U.S. Cyber Command through 16th Air Force in order to be able to combat those things and to help our allies combat them.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Thompson, wouldn't you agree that the continuity of leadership and expertise for any command, but particularly when it comes to combating cyber war, is essential to the security of EU comm and our national security? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I would contend that the recent firing of a four-star general, commander of U.S. Cyber Command and National Security Agency Director General Timothy Howe, with no succession plan in place and no word if his replacement, poses a significant threat to EUCOM, Ukraine, NATO, and our homeland. Can you please speak, Ms. Thompson, briefly to the Secretary's timeline in announcing the replacement for Cybercom?
Thank you, Congresswoman, for the question. I have to say I'm not privy to those decisions, and it's outside of my jurisdiction in international security affairs. What I would say is, obviously, cybercom, as you've pointed out, is essential to not only the UCOM AOR, but also Homeland Defense, which is a major priority. So I would just leave it there. Thank you.
I would contend this is an astonishing volatility and lacking continuity. It's posing a real threat, unnecessary threat to our national security. Thank you, Mr. Chair.